and welcome to episode 54 of the Arctic Knitting Podcast. My name is Emilie and I am as always coming to you from the northern part of Norway, and I am here to talk with you about knitting. Today I have one finished object, I have a couple of works in progress, and I have a little bit of admin stuff to take just right at the front of the episode. It's just a very little bit. I said in an Instagram story post that I have put up some of my yarns for D-stash on Ravelry, and some of you have had troubles finding it, so I'm just going to put a link to that in the description box. And if you want to buy that yarn or have more information about it, just send me a Ravelry message. I am trying really hard to keep on top of those, so that's the way to do if you want to buy some of the yarns that I'm D-stashing. I am currently, the reason that I'm doing D-stash is basically because I have too much stuff. So I am de-stashing some of my yarns. Later on this fall I will de-stash some of my fabric. If you have watched some of my vlogs, you'll know that I have quite a bit of fabric and I don't really sew that much. So I'm going to de-stash some of my fabric later on this year, but I don't know exactly when. And I'm going to clean out my craft room. I'm going to try to make more room to actually doing craft instead of just... I spend a lot of time moving stuff around to make room for whatever I'm going to do. So I'm cleaning out my craft room. I am selling some yarn, and if you want to buy it, link down below. It's in the D-stash on Ravelry. And that's it for admin stuff, and we're under 2 minutes. Okay, I know this question is going to come, so I'm just going to talk about it right up front. It's what am I wearing? This one is a kofta. Let's see if I can get a little bit up for you. It's a kofta. It's made by my mother-in-law. I got it for my birthday. It's a Norwegian pattern called Frøken Kofta, and you can find it in Kofteboken 2 or the Koftebook number 2. I'm going to link to that in the show notes. I'm not sure which yarn this is knitting, but I think it might be a Drops Charisma or Sarnes Smart. I'm leaning towards Charisma. It's absolutely lovely. I wear it very much and it's perfect. It's a superwash yarn. You can see here's, she has put just ribbon about on top of the edge. I don't know the English word. She's put the ribbing over where she has cut to hide it, and it fits really well with the kofta. And I wear this a lot even in the summer because, as I said, I live in the northern part of Norway. We currently have 5 degrees and rain, but that's okay. It's good weather for knitting. I'm happy inside knitting with TV, and I was about to say candles, but we don't really do candles because, well, we have them in the sun. Anyway, I'm going to talk more about my life in general at the end of the episode. Now I'm going to jump right into finished objects. And I have one finished object this week. And the yarn that I have used for this, or I'm going to show you the project first. This is the Wayne sweater. I think you can see it. It is just a basic raglan sweater with a reverse stockinette section in the front, which resembles Batman. And if you are a fan of Batman or have ever heard about Batman, you will probably know who Wayne is. We are currently watching something Batman, so I just found out. But I'm knitting this because my boyfriend loves Batman, so I have knit this for our son, who is 2-year-old Ludwig, and I haven't tried it on him, but you know, I fold his clothes and stuff and dress him every day. So I think this is going to fit him perfectly. And he's going to have this for fall when it's get a little bit chiller outside, and he can wear this underneath his jacket. The yarn that I have used for this is from THEA, which is one of the big Norwegian companies. They are currently owned by a German company called Host of Yarns. And this is one of the yarns that they are not producing anymore. But it's THEA Cortina. And it's a lovely plump merino alpaca blend. I think it's 70% merino and 30% alpaca. And it's in this grey color. I bought this for half the price because the yarn is no longer being produced. and this is what I have left. I have one skein, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I'm probably never, I think it's only one. Yeah, 1.5 skein. I think I'm going to put it on the stash just because I don't think that I'm going to use it, but it would be perfect for a hat. Maybe I should knit myself a hat. Or maybe I will de-stash this or give it to the kindergarten. I haven't quite decided. I love knitting this. It's worked, I don't remember the name of the designer, I'm so sorry, but it's worked top down. And it's a child size sweater with mostly stockinette stitch. And the sizing is, I think it's 4 years old on 4.5mm needles. I don't know the exact gauge because I didn't do a swatch or measure it. I decided that if it wasn't going to fit him now, it's either going to fit him later, or I could just give it away because I have lots of friends who have boys that are younger than mine. So I'm sorry, I don't know the gauge, but it's finished. I don't really know what to say about it. It was totally okay to knit. I had some troubles understanding the pattern, but it worked out in the end, and yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it. Just showing you one more time. Ludwig is going to look super cute in this, and whenever I get around to wash it, it's probably going to be more even in the front because now it's kind of rolling up on the reversed stockinette section. I had totally forgot that I have one more finished object to show you. I showed you this last week. I showed you the vest for Ludwig's bunad, and I promised you that I was going to show you knickers as well. So this is the vest. I talked about it and showed it off quite a bit last episode, and this is the knickers. The knickers has elastic in the waistband, so it's just a folded over edge, it's no ribbing. It's the same at the bottom of the leg, foot, or whatever you want to call it. And it has a button here, like on the side of the foot, on the outside, which is just for show. It doesn't have any function. It is a little bit taller in the back, and it's basically, it's just a smaller, it's a knickers. It's a stockinette knicker. And if you want to see more of that, you can go back to my last episode. If you go right until the back of that episode, there are a little bit of footage from the 17th of May, which is Norway's Constitution Day. And there are footage of Ludwig wearing this, and thank you to everyone who commented on that video clip. I totally agree with you, he's super cute in his bunad, and he is super cute whatever he's wearing. The bunad is just, yeah, it's absolutely adorable. And if you go back to my last episode, or I'm going to link both of those down below, and there's probably popping up somewhere on the screen. But if you go back to my last episode, or you go back to last year and watch the 17th of May episode, you can see quite a bit of traditional Norwegian costumes and or national costumes and the way we celebrate our Constitution Day. So if you're interested in Norwegian history and culture, that's the place to go. I also show off my bunad, which is an embroidered national costume made by my grandma. I think she started this when I was born, and I got it when for my confirmation at 14. So, yeah. I'm probably going to knit more bunads. I have already seen a pattern that I'm going to knit for him for next year, which is a pattern from my area. I kind of want to cast it on right now, but I'm not going to do it because he's almost 3 years old, and sometimes they grow a year and sometimes they don't grow that year, so it's impossible to know what sizing he will have to have in a year. So, works in progress. Last episode I showed you the snipganser or snip sweater, which is this one. It's still not completely finished. I had to sew in the ends and stuff, but I showed this off as a work in progress or finished object last week. I don't really remember, but I talked about that there. And I have since then worked a little bit on the pants, because it's not pants, it's shorts or rumper. I don't know if they're, I don't think rumper is a Norwegian word, but I don't know if it's an English word. But I'm popping up a photo on the screen of the whole outfit, and I have just started on the little shorts. And this is what it looks like so far. So now I have to work quite a bit of stockinette stitch before I divide to make the little rib thing for the foots to come out of. And the yarn that I am using for this is from RAUMA. It's a cotton yarn, it's called PANDORA. And I think I talked about this in an earlier episode. I love wool, I love rustic wool. I have always loved rustic wools, but the last couple of years since I started podcasting and well, seeing the international knitting world, I have been really blown away by merino. And I have knitted a lot of merino yarns, and yeah, I think merino has been my go-to yarn. Now I am kind of back on the rustic wool wagon. It just goes like this in like, yeah, circles. But this one is a cotton yarn, and I have tried working cotton yarns before. I made quite a lot of dishcloths some years ago from drops cotton yarns. And I won't say that I hated it, because if I hated it I wouldn't have made so many of them. But it was kind of squeaky and not really enjoyable to work with. But this yarn, on the other hand, it's like, this is a gorgeous yarn to work with, even though it's cotton. It knits up beautiful, and it's kind of, if I'm going to compare it to anything, it kind of feels like merino. Of course, not completely like merino, but it's a slick yarn. It's easy to knit without pulling the strands apart. Sorry, English. And yeah, it's really soft and lovely, and it's going to be really good for summer, for a summer outfit for a baby. Not that I'm the one to say that you shouldn't use wool in the summer, because you totally could, because wool doesn't really warm you, it regulates the temperature, so you could totally wear wool for a kid in the summer, especially if you live where I live. But I saw this pattern when it came out. It's a pretty new RAUMA pattern. And a couple of weeks before the pattern comes out, I work in a yarn store, and we get like the booklets without the patterns, but we get them into the store so that we can see through them and see if we want to order them. And I saw this one, and I was like, I'm going to knit that. And it took a couple of weeks before we got the booklet, but when we got it, I still wanted to knit that, and it took a couple of weeks after that before I cast it on. But basically I'm just knitting that for the store, because I don't know any babies, or at least not girl babies, and I'm not going to give purple to the only boy I know. And I really wanted to knit it in other colors than was pictured in the magazine. Kind of tend to do that when I knit for the store, just because when people come into the store and they might see a pattern, it can be hard to imagine what it's like when you switch up colors. So when we knit for the store, we almost every time we change up the colors and don't use the same colors as is used in the original picture, just because we want people to see that it's possible to change color, because some people are, I won't say afraid, but they're worried about switching out colors because they find it hard to set colors together or to put colors together. And I totally get that. I don't think it's hard to put colors together. I love it, but then again, I do it every day, all day with customers. And also I have been knitting for quite some years, and if you are a new knitter, it can be, and you are making a color work project, because that's what new knitters do in Norway, it can be hard to pick out colors that goes well together and imagine how they are going to play together in like a bigger area, like a cardigan or a sweater or whatever. So that's why I'm knitting that one in a different color than what is in the booklet. And I'm knitting it in girls color instead of colors that I would give away for a boy. The next project that I'm going to show you is not a new project, but many of you have probably never seen it before. I started this last year in August or September or somewhere around there, and I worked on it until, like, on and off until maybe November, December, and then I put it away. I'm not exactly sure when I cast it on and when I put it away, but I know that I haven't worked on this since before Christmas. And the reason for that is that I'm not completely satisfied with the yarn choice that I made. I don't like knitting with alpaca, which tells you that this is an alpaca yarn and it's a kofta. And if I were to pick out yarn for this now, I would have picked rustic wool, but I picked up yarn for this quite a while ago, and yeah, I didn't like it before Christmas, but now I think I'm okay with it. And the project that I'm talking about is the Bøvertun kofta. So this is a cardigan in yellow and white. It's a traditional Norwegian pattern. And like many traditional Norwegian patterns, they were originally made bottom up with sewn in sleeves, and of course stick in the front, but the arms would be sticked in as well. And while I think that gives a good look, it sometimes makes the shoulder a little bit too big, and it makes the kofta kind of hard to get under a jacket. It gets kind of bulky around here very often, especially in thicker yarns. So this one is a fingering weight yarn. It is Viking alpaca fine. I love this color. This color, I think it's amazing. It's like, it's white. When you see that color in this project, it's white. And when you see that color, like just a tiny bit of it together with another color, it's white, but when it's alone, it's grey. It's a very lovely greyish white, which I absolutely love. And I was saying that, I'm just rambling on, but I was saying that traditionally most Norwegian patterns are made button up and made in pieces, and you have to sew them together at the sleeves. This one is in Kofteboken number 1. The one that I'm wearing is in the second book. This is actually on the front of the first book, and originally it has squares on the whole body, and there's also a version with a plain body, but I wanted laces on the body, so I just decided to do that. Because it's my cardigan, I decided what to do. But in the Kofteboken, the Kofteboken basically started as a blog. There was a lady, I think she was mostly blogging about home or interior and stuff like that. But then she found an old kofta which she really loved, and she started something she called koftejakten, or hunt like in hunting for animals. And she started gathering together all patterns, because all patterns you are allowed to not sell and make money off it, I don't think, but you are allowed to share them online. So she started collecting patterns like that, and photos, old photos, new photos. She then started redesigning some of them, because the older patterns, they knit differently in the 50s. Like this one is made in a thin yarn in the 50s. I think that most of the koftas were made in thicker yarns. That might be wrong. But anyway, you have yarns like RAUMA, which many of you will know about, which is listed to be knitted at the gauge, a suggested gauge at 22 stitches. Most patterns that comes out with this yarn today use 22 stitches as gauge. If you go back to the 50s and find a pattern, it will probably be listed as 24 stitches per 10 centimeter. The reason for that is that they knitted things tighter earlier days. Not because they actually knitted tighter, but they would use smaller needles to get a tighter gauge, because they wanted the cardigans to be actually warm. Not that it's not warm on 22 stitches, but they are warmer and more compact and more water repellent and stuff when they are knit on a tighter gauge. The reason we don't do this today is because we have outer jacket, we have soft shell, we have all that fancy stuff, and we also have cars and trains and stuff, so we don't really walk outside that much in winter. Just a little bit of history there. And I wasn't planning on that, so I totally lost track of where I'm at. But this one, yeah, she redesigned. The lady behind this blog is called De Blonde. She redesigned some of these koftas, and to make them top down which is more modern. Many of them got a rounded yoke or a raglan, and they got because also in addition to being knitted on a tighter gauge, they were often like the shaping of them is different than what we want today. So the shaping of the garment were changed. And I started this in alpaca, and I didn't like the alpaca yarn, and I put it away. And I thought, when I was talking with Lily of the Nordic Stitches podcast about this, I told her that I don't understand why I don't just finish it, because I have like half an arm left. And that was right, I had half an arm left. The problem was just that I had one more. I thought I had just started on the second arm, but I had just started on the first arm. But I picked it up, I knit this arm in, or sleeve it's called, I knit this sleeve in one sitting, one evening. And I have just started the other one, and I'm hoping, I'm not going to make any promises, but I'm hoping to have this one finished until next week. And if you're interested, hold on a moment. I'm going to call him back up. If you're interested, I'm going to stick this. And you know, probably if you have been watching Skandir or any of the other Norwegian podcasters, many of us have talked about the fact that if you use a rustic wool, you can just cut it open. Like this one, you can't see of course, but it's sewn with a sewing machine because it's a superwash. Then it's cut open, and then you sew a ribbon or a knitted ribbon on top of the edges to, yeah, just to hide them really. But if you use a rustic wool, you can just simply cut it. You don't have to sew it with the sewing machine, you don't have to crochet, you don't have to secure it in any way, because if you cut knitting that is made from pure rustic wool, it will stick together to itself, so you don't have to sew it. Alpaca, on the other hand, you have to sew, and you have to sew it really well, because it is, yeah, if I just cut this, it's going to fray, because alpaca is such a thick yarn. And that's one of the reasons why if I was going to choose the yarns for this today, I would choose differently. But I'm going to stick this. And if you're interested in seeing the process, I'm not going to make a tutorial. But if you're interested in actually seeing the process of me sticking an alpaca cardigan, let me know. I will also wash it and probably stretch it out a little bit before I dry it, because as you can see, it's not very even. Alpaca is kind of hard to get even. I see that all the time in the yarn store. People come back, they just started knitting and they have knitted a kofte, or because it's like full on cardigan, full pattern, full on stranded cardigan is like project number 2 for many Norwegian knitters. Like you knit a little bit of simpler sweater with just a little bit of pattern, and then you knit a full on cardigan. And many times people come back and they say that, yeah, I started a kofte, one of the koftes or one of the sweaters, and I can't figure out how to do color work because it doesn't look good. It's like, yeah, no, it's not you, that's the alpaca. Because alpaca is quite hard to do color work in, especially if you are not used to color work. I'm quite pleased with how this turned out, and you can see that it is more even on this part of the sleeve, which I knitted this week, than on the rest of it. And I think that's just because, as I mentioned earlier, when I started knitting on this in the fall of 2017, I hadn't been knitting very much color work in a very long time. Of course, I did a lot of color work the first couple of years I knitted, but then for a couple of years it has been all about lace. And then I got back to color work, and I kind of have to get it back in again. It's like, yeah, I haven't done it for a while. It takes a while to get back into it. And now I have been doing it a lot, and I knit more even in alpaca. So if you are knitting a color work project with alpaca and you don't think your stitches look good, don't worry. It's not you, it's the yarn. And also a lot of this, I think this will be more than okay when, as soon as I have washed it and just blocked it out a little bit. I'm not going to actually block it, I just lay it down to dry. As soon as that is done, this is going to look perfect. Or at least very good, I think. So I'm hoping to have that ready for next week. I was going to talk about this today, but I see that my battery on the camera is blinking, that it's almost done. So I'm not going to talk about this beautiful, lovely blanket today. But I'm going to talk about it next week, and that might be as a finished object. I am only missing 2 squares. I can't believe my blanket is getting towards the end. Okay, so this was a little bit of a shorter episode. That is just because I didn't have very much time to record today. But it's better to have a short episode than to have no episode, don't you think? The last thing that I'm going to show you is just I'm going to remind you that the stitch markers, no, it's not stitch markers, the selby mitten pins are still available in my shop if you want one. There's also some yarn up there, and the shop is going to close towards the somewhere in the summer. I haven't set an exact date, but there's going to be some changes and stuff. I'm not going to talk too much about that because I talked about that quite a bit last week, but you are going to get notified whenever that happens. And if you want updates, you can follow me here on YouTube and on Instagram. That's where those updates are coming. So, Arctic living. I'm trying to think about what I did this weekend. Yeah, since the last time I have been knitting quite a bit, as you have seen, and this Saturday I was kind of celebrating my birthday. I don't have a birthday until the upcoming Friday, but I decided to meet up with some friends who were going to go traveling, and we hang out at one of my friend's house, and we just ate cake and knitted until like 3 in the morning, which was absolutely wonderful. That was when I got the majority of the Bøvertun done. That's also when I finished started on the shorts in the cotton yarn. I had a really lovely time, and this week that is coming on Thursday, which is in 2 days, I'm going to Oslo again, and I'm going to be there for 1 day. I'm going to like the market thing. I don't know the English word. I don't really know what's called in the Norwegian either, but it's kind of like yeah, House of Yarns, the company that owns Dale, Knit at Home, and Store ALPACA, are doing a thing where they have invited the yarn stores to come and see all the news that they are going to celebrate this, that they're going to launch this fall. So I'm going there together with my boss, and I'm really much looking forward to that, even though it's just we're going down on Thursday morning and we are flying back up again on Thursday night. And we were thinking about spending the night there, but I didn't want to because Friday is my birthday, and I am planning. I'm done at work at 12 o'clock at noon on Friday, and I'm meeting up with my boyfriend, and we are going to do some shopping and eat some lunch and just have a good time. And then I think I will get a loom for my birthday, because that's the only thing that I have wished for. When he asked me what I want for my birthday, I've always said a loom. So I think that's what I'm getting. I have even sent him the links to Spinnvilt, which is a Norwegian store who sells looms, and the loom that I linked to is the Ashford Rigid Head loom, the 16-inch version. So I might have a loom in 3 days, and if I don't have a loom in 3 days, I'm going to have it in a week, because okay, the battery is dead. I know, over to my phone. I was just saying that if I don't get a loom for my birthday this Friday, I'm going to buy myself a loom, so I will have one in a week anyway. And if you have any good resources for starting weaving on a rigid head loom, or Facebook groups, or inspirational hashtags, or anything that has to do with that, please link them down below. And I can't hold my phones right, so I can't hold my phone. And I can't hold my phone still because I'm holding it in my hand. But that's just the way it is, and I'm going to go pick up Ludwig from kindergarten and make some dinner and edit this video, put it out there. And thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button and hit subscribe, and let me know. Give me a comment. I love hearing from you guys, and I will see you again very soon, hopefully. Bye.